Greetings, friends. I'm the Preacher 711, and this is another Blake 7 gaming podcast, where today we're going to be talking about our game, The Great Chicken Escape, and some of the Easter eggs it contains. The Great Chicken Escape is a survival game where you play as a group of chickens who, using immense firepower, have got to stave off the force of evil that are trying to come for them. And as with all of our Blake 7 gaming games, there's a lot of Easter eggs, there's a lot of nods, thank yous, call outs, all sorts of stuff like that. But over the last couple of weeks on the game's kind of group chat wall, I've been getting some specific questions about what's that what meant to mean? What's that Easter egg meant to call out? So I thought I would do a little podcast about what those Easter eggs mean. I'm not going to go through all of the Easter eggs in the game because there's an awful lot. I'm just going to do the ones where I've directly been asked a question, and I'll explain it. So here we go. Number one, the handheld console. Yeah, inside the chicken's coop, which is kind of the start point of the game. If you go inside and have a look, there's a little black games console, and some people have said, is it a Nintendo DS? Is it a 3DS? What's it meant to be? And why is it there? What does it do? Well, it doesn't do anything. It's just there. It's just a background object. But it's a call out to my good friend Quad Matter and his excellent YouTube series to show that little handheld console is actually a AI robot character called Desi. So it's a little bit of a Desi nod. So there you go. Number two, the man and the glider. Yeah, so far across the map, there's a tall tower block building, and you can access the lift of the building and go up to the roof. And there on the roof is a glider perched on the edge and a dead man laying on the floor. Both of these things are a call out to one of my favorite old movies, Escape from New York. So you can use the glider to escape from the game. And the poor dead guy on the floor is none other than Kurt Russell's Snake Plissken. There he is, eye patch, camo trousers, leather jacket, and all. Number three, Kens. So the actual question I was asked several times is, what's this Kens business all about? Well, Kens in the in-game universe of all the chicken games we make is a brand. It's called Ken's Tuck-In Fried Chicken. A bit of a wink, wink, and a nod to a real-life chicken restaurant brand, headed by this white-suited gentleman known as the General. No relation to the Colonel whatsoever. So they're just a brand of chicken restaurants, so therefore one of the mortal enemies of the chickens of the game. And you'll bump into a number of employees wearing their kind of uniforms, complete with a silly chicken comb hat they've got to wear, because back in the 80s, fast food restaurants used to like making their staff dress up in silly costumes and stuff. So it's a bit of a nod back to the past as well as to a bit of a real life brand. Number four, phone and cake. Yeah, phone and cake. So around the back of the restaurant, the Ken's Tuck-In Fried Chicken restaurant, you'll see the staff have set up like a table and chairs next to the bins out there. And there's a plate on there with a slice of cake and a mobile phone with, if you look really closely, it's got a Blake 7 audiobook running. This is another call out to a good friend on Twitter, Amanda DH, who's the queen of Blake and a cake. So it's a Blake 7 audiobook and some cake, Blake and a cake. Number five, Houck and the police. So I was asked, how come basically the police are very all dressed in black, very militarized. They've got a funny sign outside their base that says United States Police Force, and their kind of boss character in sort of their military compound is a guy called Chief Houck. This is another nod to Escape from New York. I wanted quite a sort of fascist-looking militarized police force. So the troopers themselves, the police troopers, outfits are directly taken from the movie Escape from New York, and the man in charge, Chief Houck, is a guy called Bob Houck out of the movie. Number six, Swampy Mudmen and the Boat. So in one of the areas of the map, there's a toxic swamp you can get to, and sat on this toxic swamp is a white and grey boat with a black roof that you can use to escape. But the area is guarded by these sort of reptilian creatures, and the name above their heads is Swampy Mudmen. So the question I was asked is, what's a Swampy Mudman? Why are they called that? And also someone was asking, well, the boat looks kind of familiar. What's that a nod to? So they're both actually a nod to the Left 4 Dead game series from a few years back. Swampy Mudmen were the name of the sort of zombie variants that lived in the swamps. I've always rather liked the name. And the white boat is a boat you could use to escape in both the games. Number seven, James Blonde. Okay, so I was asked about why is there a guy called James Blonde? Is it a spelling mistake? What's up with that? So in a certain area of the map, there's a group of government agents that are trying to get to the chickens, and their kind of boss character is a blue suit wearing blonde-haired guy, and above his head it says James Blonde. So obviously it's a bit of a nod to James Bond. He's wearing one of the blue suits that Daniel Craig wore in Casino Royale, and he's got blonde hair. The reason he's got blonde hair and the reason he's called James Bond is if you remember long enough back when Daniel Craig was cast as Bond, one of the British tabloids dubbed him as James Blonde because Daniel Craig's naturally blonde. So there you go, James Blonde. Number 8, the bikers. I was asked several questions about the bikers, so I'll try and deal with them all in one. I was asked, like, why is there a group of bikers? Why are they attacking the chickens? And why have they got on the back of their tops? Well done, the eagle-eyed person that spotted this, because it's only small. They've got space rats written on the back of their leather jackets. Well, the bikers as a whole and their vendetta against the chickens is a reference to another John Carpenter movie called Assault on Precinct 13, where you've got this gang obsessed with killing the main characters. So that's one. And the second one, the space rats written on the back, there's a futuristic biker gang in Blake 7 called the Space Rats. So hence my gang are called the Space Rats. Number 9, graves. There seems to be this odd running theme in my game. There always seems to be a graveyard, but in Great Chicken Escape, there's quite an extensive one, and it's full of lots of graves with things written on them, little jokes, little nods. I'm not going to spoil them all. Lots of them are thank yous to people, but again, I'm going to pick on the ones that are specific. So here we go. Here's a little list. Someone's asking me, why is there a zombie Duke Nukem? And why does it say on his grave, here lies Duke Nukem Forever, the proper one? If you remember the game Duke Nukem Forever, it had I think it's one of history's longest inceptions. It kept being cancelled, changed, moved, altered. So it's just, I love a bit of Duke Nukem. It's just a little bit of a nod to the Duke. Also in the graveyard, there's this small little green creature with red eyes and a scarf around his neck. I was asked what that was all about. Again, this is another call out to Quad Matters series, the show. In the show, there's a monkey character called Reggie, and this is a zombified Reggie. This is evil, glowing-eyed Reggie. Also in the graveyard, there's a small little creature in a white shirt with an exclamation mark on it, and his name's Bubsy. He's Bubsy the Bobcat from a awful video game series from long ago. And as his gravestone says, I'm not particularly a fan, but also it's another little nod back to Quad Matter and the show. There's an excellent episode called Yuletide from Hell that I recommend you go and take a watch because it focuses on Bubsy in the video games a little bit. So go and have a little check out of that. And the last one of the graves I was asked about was there's one that says, here lies Dr. Roberts. We barely knew her. Dr. Roberts, again, was a character for Quad Matters, the show, that never made it to the screen, was written in, but for reasons. Go and check out his YouTube channel. He'll happily tell you all about the reasons Dr. Robert was removed. So we never got to see her, but there she is. Number 10, the USS Dallas. One of the escape points in the game is a submarine called the USS Dallas. And I was asked, why is a submarine called the USS Dallas? And a number of theories were thrown. It's actually another nod to the Duke Nukem games, where there's a bit in the original Duke Nukem where he has to escape using the submarine, and it's called the USS Dallas. If you escape using the submarine, you actually unlock a chicken version of Duke Nukem, Socks as Duke Nukem. Duke Socks. And lastly, the dog in a jar. Yep. So the dog in the jar in the science lab in the game where they're up to no good. There's lots of things in jars, but in one of the jars there's a creature floating around inside. And I was asked, why is there a dog in the jar? It's not actually a dog. It's actually a plushy lion called Floppy Lion, who's on Twitter. So do check out Floppy Lion. All of my games since I've been doing 2D ones, there's always Floppy Lions in there to be found. Floppy was a big supporter on the Twitter. So it's always a thank you. I just love throwing them in there. So there you go. So I hope you enjoyed that. We might do some more Easter egg videos with some of the other games. But as ever, thanks for listening, liking, and subscribing. Thanks for playing the games. Take care and goodbye.